sound, mind. Mind, sound. Disappearing. Mind. Going. Mind. Disappearing. Returning to source. Mind returned to source. Gone.
It seems as though in this part of my practice, questions are being brought up about beingness and not beingness, and things existing and things not existing, and being an individual and not being an individual.
How long have you had this problem?
Not that long.
Okay.
Can you comment on that or clarify it at all?
I hope not. Words, concepts. Thinking. Knowing, not knowing. Right. Not knowing, knowing. None of these are a problem. Being's not a problem, and not being. It's also not a problem. In other words, nothing's a problem. That's the sermon for the day. Nothing is a problem. So knowing that nothing is a problem was a problem. I'm all ears.
finally got around to coming to him as a teacher separate from the music, as a spiritual teacher, and kind of officially accepted him that way. Basically, I asked for help, which I never had done before, and that's really changed a lot since then, you know, and from that point on, he's laid a lot more on me, which is good stuff. He could have told me that before, but he never put anything on me. He waited until I came to him for that purpose. And since that time, there's really been incredible growth in my life in terms of losing the self, I guess, and burning karma, not carrying so much baggage and pain, and being light, and basically adopting a yogic lifestyle.
And then the real question is, what do you need to know? See? What do you need to hear? And you might say, just anything, please, talk. Just say something. Give me something to meditate on. And so on.
When he was small, banging on my pots, and he had the rhythm. He had whatever God gave him. At the age of 2, I saw. And we have a friend, Raymond Sharkey, who was very close to us. Went to a pawn shop and got him a bongo.
How, at 2?
2 years old. And he played that bongo like he was a master, and he was just a baby. And I didn't have to deal jumping over my pots that were all over the floor. Mm-hmm.
Before I picked up the guitar, I was playing the drums.
So how long did you play the drums for? Since you were
baby.
3?
Yeah, baby.
And why did you decide to go from banging on things to delicately using your fingers to caress the
No, I'm
instrument?
still playing the drums. I think I've upgraded my drumming to guitar playing. And so it's physically less challenging. But I think it expresses what the drums really want to do, and that's they want to sing, they want to communicate, they want to talk to people. It's easier for me to talk to the musical community if I play melodies that are more appropriately classical and that are part of the Western culture for the most part. So I lend myself to that so that I can more or less translate these inner patterns, these drum patterns, these psychic feelings and things into much more of a conventional musical form.
This man, when I was 19 years old, right after first year college in Toronto, just came across him playing guitar in the village up there, Toronto, walking home early in the morning after being out all night. Walked past Cat playing guitar, sitting on a stoop, playing these melodies. I walked about 5 steps. Oh.
I just put it
Cool.
on. I just put it on and just, we don't care about the word. You grab that just so we get your voice. Go ahead. More comfortable standing up. Go ahead.
So anyway, I walked about 5 steps and I heard it. I turned around immediately, walked right back, and said to him, what are you doing? How do you do that? And we introduced each other, and within about 5 seconds we were walking, finding a piano, going to a piano that very morning. And we played together that morning, into the morning. I found a piano over at the college where I was going, in a little practice room. And we have been playing together ever since. I started playing with him right at that time, and I knew nothing about the kind of music that he was doing. But he became my mentor at the time. I was in college, really with no musical output, no musical outlet, or output, of course. I was trying to be an academic and getting depressed, not knowing what I was going to do with my life, not feeling right in college. But after this point, meeting early in the morning, I started apprenticing with him, and he really you know, he was putting together a group in Toronto. And we had a trumpet player and a drummer and me and him. That was it. So I had to play bass, left-hand bass mostly, on organ, and comping for him. And he started me out really on standards. Because I was a, you know, stone rock and roll player, but he started teaching me jazz standards, standards which were really popular tunes of the day in the 40s, say, you know, the jazz masters of that time used to improvise over. He was teaching me those tunes, you know, which I couldn't really play. I knew them all, actually, from my parents, but couldn't really play them. Didn't know those more sophisticated type of harmonies. He showed them to me. Started me really learning about that, and then took me outside with him once I had learned a little of that. All these complicated chords that he showed me, then all of a sudden there's no chords. Just play. You know, and that's the kind of music we ended up playing in Toronto. He had compositions, those structures. Sometimes they'd be out of time, though, sometimes in time. But often just modal playing over one chord, and then of course every chord the way he does it, you know. But he taught me anything I know about that type of music. And about even, you know, although I never really learned how to play bebop, but anything I know about that era he taught me as well. And he still is the most phenomenal player I've ever run across. And I have played with, you know, so many of the guitar greats, and there are some, you know, awfully great ones out there. But this man, Tisziji Muñoz, kills me. That's all I can say. So when he calls, I say, what time?
A lot of times as a musician you tend to worry about things that have nothing, that you shouldn't really be worrying about, like even if people, what they think and that kind of thing. And Tisziji seems to take me beyond that, where I'm just playing for the moment, and like how we should really live our lives, actually. Just live to the moment, which is difficult at times, but he seems to bring me there every time we connect. Okay, I'm John Lockwood. I'm a bass player. I met Tisziji, wow, about 15 years ago with Patrick Moses. And it's been a growing thing for me, because whenever I get with Tisziji, I feel something beyond just playing music. There's a spiritual thing that he seems to dig out of me. And whenever I leave, I always feel really uplifted and almost cleansed in a sense.
Basically, even from the first time I met him, I always told him, if you want me to play, I'll be there. It doesn't matter if it pays or it doesn't pay, because it always pays in spirit greatly. You know, it's food for the soul to play with Tisziji. So fortunately, he does call me from time to time, and this is a very special event because he plays very infrequently, as you know, very infrequently. So it's very special for the people who understand, who are open to spirit, to have a master come down to earth and put it out there on the guitar so we could all hear it, you know. Because there are, I'm sure there are other spiritual masters, but they might be up on a mountain in Tibet somewhere, you know. This guy come right down to the street and play it for you, you know, and there's nobody else like that, as far as I know.
He also knows how, when you're down, how to pick you up in such a gentle, sweet manner. It's a gift from heaven. I had a vision. I went to sleep one night, and I had Dennis, I had Amida, I had Miracle, who was only a baby, and I had Tisziji. And I dreamed it's very dark, and there's a big hill, and on the top of the hill, I just see the two arms with the white robe and the hands. And I hear the voice, and it says, "Come, my child." So I says, "Who, me, my Lord?" Of course, to me, I knew it was my Lord. And it says, "No, not you. again, he says, come, my child. Who, me, my Lord? And he says, no, not you. You are a child. But I didn't know I was pregnant. He let me know I was pregnant. Because I have a baby already in my arms. I could never be pregnant with a baby in my arms. When he says, come, my child, I go, who, me again? He says, no, him. And when I turn around, it was Tisziji. And I begged, I went, oh, dear Lord, you can't take him. You took his father. I love my children. I said, I'm a good mother. I do anything for my children. Please don't take him. Little knowing that it was that my son was picked to do the work that he does. Today he is who he is because it was already given to me, and I knew he was special. And he is special, not only with me because I'm his mother, he's special with everybody.
Thank you.
There are certain moments in the process where it's necessary to cut deep. Let's say the surgical process, if you call it that, for the healing. The healing, on occasion, requires that there be a deep cut, deep incision. Every gesture, every impulse that comes from the self smells. But same thing coming from the heart, so to speak, has a totally different quality. See? It's not out here creating consequences. It's not self-sabotaging and building blocks that are totally unnecessary and even ridiculous to be putting in front of oneself. See? But then you have to see that you're a victim of culturing, family culturing. It had nothing to do with seeing into any of this stuff and recognizing any of this for what it is. So you wind up here in this outhouse, right? The outhouse, hearing the out music, right? With the out teacher, with the out message, see? With the out sound, see? With the out light. See? So if you can get that, I think that's very important for you to review for the purpose of seeing how subtle the process is and how absolutely unnecessary your egoic or monstrous greed is for experience in BS. Your appetite for BS is elephantine, gargantuan. See? It's a way of life for you. You specialize in it, right? And you may as well retire right now, right this second. Give it up. And become human for a change, instead of a personification of garbage.
You've used the word native to describe the healing and wisdom that you're sought out for. How is this related to the wisdom that's handed down through cultural streams like Native American or Buddhism?
Well, it would be similar to all of them, because we're talking about human healing, so that it's a reality to itself. Every human needs healing regardless of their culture, so it's really not about culture. It's like breathing is not about culture. You say, well, are you breathing? You're talking about breath. Does that have to do with one particular culture or one point on the earth as distinct from another place in another solar system or another galaxy? This has to do with what is universally the case. We're talking about universal application of language, which includes the other traditions, but it may be different. Because in this case, when I'm speaking about native, I mean born, what you're born with.
How does the native intelligence you're talking about, how is it related to
Born
genius?
intelligence, you may just say, how do you? Because I'm what it is. It's not other than what I am. So you got to say, how do you? Because that's what it is. You keep now you're separating it. Saying, how does your native intelligence? No, it is what it is. It's speaking. It's not something other. It is. So what we're talking about here is the master as kata, the master as burn process, not as teacher or guru as such. No, this is devastating. This is not anything that is comforting. And thus we would call it the swift blade. Gone already. And thus the term gati, got you, gati, got you. Head rolling already. The masters, the transcendent ones. You can't see them. They don't belong to any club. They don't belong to any region. They're free of the universe. So how can they claim to be part of a particle of the earth? One of a zillion such places. Only confusion needs clarification, right? And similarly, only nothing needs nothing. And only silence needs silence. Fair. Only practice needs practice. Only realization needs realization. Yeah. So then everything is complete. Right? Everything is full. Everything is what it is. Right? Only the master needs the master. It's very helpful. Using the concept of nothing, nothingness, implying already complete, nothing to be added, nothing to be subtracted, just is what it is, beyond is what it is. Is everyone everything they need to be? Is everyone complete in itself? And if not, then why is anyone incomplete in itself? And is the anyone who is incomplete in itself completely so? Could it be completely so? Could it be perfectly so? Could the one who questions question itself, questioning itself, and come to the point of who cares? At the intensity of who cares, where who disappears. When you're creative, you're not having anything to do with it. Creative genius is doing without doing or having any sense of doing it. Creative genius is also knowing it, but not knowing, because you have no sense of knowing it. So ego has nothing to do with it. Like in the case of nature, there's no ego doing any of it. It's happening. It all happens because there's nobody in the way of it. As soon as you get a self, you have a problem. Gets in the way of it, all the problems show up immediately as unnatural because somebody's thinking they know beyond the universe, the flow of the is of all. Say, oh, I know how this goes. No, give it up. Nobody knows. It's just a viewpoint. Maybe true, maybe totally exaggerated nonsense. Who knows? But at least what we're seeing here is a response to give people pause to consider. Not that anything said is true, but maybe pointing in some way or other. I don't believe a word of it that was just passed through. But I hear it. I understand its purpose, its function. To get people out of their sleep. Maybe. Look out. See. Open up. See. Consider more. Opening is very important. A dungeon of doing, being, self-limitation. Egoically imprisoned, unnecessarily. Comment. Seeing that clearly, properly, to get beyond it, is then this iota of creative spark. It's like having a big pile of papers and books, and then you have a little match. See, what's the match mean to all of that? That's creative.